Real quick, I want to do a fair use. Yeah. Barakatah Yahawah. Barakatah Yahawashi. Want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham, Rawchaa QaDash. I'd like to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, the elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom. To you sisters, you yahawah, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. This your brother Ram Yahawah with the lesson.
A people for hundreds of years because the tactics that they used were brutal. Oh, Ricardo, why are you saying all these things? What's this got to do with the video? Everything. Because if you leave it up to white people, they will romanticize their white crimes. Or, you know, if you weren't for us, you'd still be living in the jungles. You'd be uncivilized. You should be grateful. We came to give you a better life, a better world, a better civilization. You should be thanking us, not hating us. If you leave it up to white people, you as a non-white person, you will end up hating yourself and worshiping the ground that white people walk on. You don't believe me? Go look at the comment section of the last video I posted. Prior to this one, go look at the comment section and read some of the comments from black and brown men. The amount of self-hatred that we as non-white people suffer from. And all because we've allowed white people to tell us what's what, who's who, what history is, and what our future is going to become. There has been a handful of white people that have approached me and said something like, "Oh, Ricardo, not all of us think like that. Some of us want nothing to do with white supremacy. Some of us think that the solution is that we should all mix. That way there's no color anymore. We could all just be one." That literally is also white supremacy. Did you know that? Because what you are suggesting, as romantic as you make it sound, you are suggesting that the only way that we white people, us that are not white supremacists, us that are the good kind, the only way we see a solution is if you are no longer black, Native American, Asian, etc. You should mix with us so that we can finally see the humanity in you. Because as long as you look different than us, we can't see the humanity in you. The problem with white people and their suggestions to what the solution should be to solve their white hatred and racism against us, their solution is always to accommodate them, to make them comfortable, which always comes at our expense, at our detriment. For example, here in America, in the United States, white people say things like, "Oh, here in America." Do you want to know what this melting pot really means? It means that whoever you are, if you're not white and you come to this country, or you were already in this country like Native Americans, do you want to know what this melting pot really is? It is the assimilation of non-white people that assimilate into white culture and white identity. Wait, Ricardo, how? What is your name? Yeah, you, non-white person. What is your name? What language do you speak? Do you speak the language of the people that you come from originally? Do you have the names of the people that you come from originally? What religion do you practice, if any? Do you practice the religion of the people that you come from originally? See, white people don't have to assimilate. This is their culture. Their names are Ashley, John, Peter. Their last names are all European, as they should be. They're European people. But there's one problem with that. They're European people that are living in a land that is not Europe, in this case, America. But yet, they still get to keep their culture, their identity, their heritage, and somehow, some way, we as non-white people, doesn't matter who you are, indigenous people, black people, African descendants, what is your name? Ashley? Nicole? John? European names. What language do you speak? English? Spanish? Portuguese? French? European languages. That is not a melting pot. That is pure assimilation into white identity and culture. It's easy for white people to say, we're all just a melting pot. We're all one. We're all American. No. We're all assimilated into your culture. We're all stripped from our identities, and we now identify with what you want us to identify. This is, of course, also in Latin America. Same thing. All those brown people in Latin America, all those black people in Latin America, their names are what? Jose, Maria, Maricela, Roberto, Carlos. You get the drift. Those are not their original identities. Those are the names of the Spaniards, of the French, of the Portuguese that colonized them. That's not a melting pot. That's the people that have been colonized, ethnically cleansed, acculturated, and then assimilated into whiteness. And with all that said and done, if you leave it up to white people, they will tell you, we did nothing wrong. Hell, if it wasn't for us, you'd be living in the jungles. You should be thanking us. So let's no longer call it slavery. Let's call it involuntary relocation. We didn't abuse you, we fed you. Did you know that my teacher was Errol Musk? Ricardo, you...
Yeah, so this is Psalms chapter 10, verse 10. He croucheth, right? Because that's what he's saying. They'll romanticize it, you know. So he croucheth and humble himself. So that's what oh, it wasn't that bad. It was we relocated you. You know, it was manifest destiny. It was God. God wanted this to happen, right? See, we came in humbly, and we helped you, right? We gave you culture, right? You mean the guy that has no culture gave us culture? And this is what the things that he wants you to believe. He wants to romanticize it, like he was saying, right? You know. Oh, see, I'm not like those other ones. You know, if we just all mix together, we'll be okay. And then no one has to worry about who's this race and who's this. We're all together. You know, when the seed is of the Father, they know that, right? Like he was saying, it's all to make them feel comfortable, right? He croucheth and humble himself, that the poor may fall by his strong one. See, and ultimately, that's all it is, man. So that you still fall, right? By his military troops, which that's what they're setting up in every city right now, right? By the police back in the day, going all the way back into their the slave patrol, and of course the conquistadors and just the Edomites just in general, when they got off them ships and came to the shores of this place, man, right? They hid themselves behind smiles and soft speeches, right? Giving you some story about, well, really it was about our Lord, because our Lord was gentle and kind and merciful, but they spun it. They took the I and elongated the I, which is a lie, and made a J that was never created before. Was it Giorgio Trissino created it, right? Spun that web of lie, changed the image of the Lord, gave it their image, right? So that they could sit in the temple of God, saying that they are God, right? Pretending to be God, basically. And you have to love them. You can't say anything. This is what I'm saying. Can we all? He said, can we just all get along? Meanwhile, he's stabbing you, he's killing you, raping you, eating you in certain cases. See, I'm not telling you the vile things, man, but see, the things are all coming out. That the poor may fall by his strong ones. He hath said in his heart, La'ab, his mind, the power, the Most High, have forgotten. He hideth his face he will not see it, right? And indeed, the Lord is a power that hideth himself. And he did hide himself from us. But it doesn't mean that he was going to stay hidden forever, right? The Lord said that he will always remember us. Even if he has to set up the elect, which he did from before the foundations of the world, to bring us back into being the sons of God, right? Arise, right? See, O power, O Yahawah, BaHaSham Yahawashi, O power, lift up thy hand, which is Yahawashi. Forget not thy humble, right? Which is the elect, right? The Lord ain't going to forget. But see, in this guy's mind, he just thought the Lord's just going to forget and never remember, right? But the Lord had always set up the elect to be remembered. Tazaiwan, that's what Tazaiwan means, memorial, remembrance. Wherefore doeth the wicked contemn the power, right? They come against all that is God, all that is called God, right? Sitting in the temple pretending to be God, right? He hath said in his heart, La'ab his mind, thou will not require it. Hey, man, I can keep on doing this to you people, so you might as well just deal with it. That was a long time ago. You know? We don't have to just keep bringing up slavery, do we? Why do we keep bringing this up? Well, what about Chicago? What about Chicago? Right? This is their thing to come up with, right? Right? It says, thou hast seen it, for thou beholdest mischief and spite. Right? Yeah, they spite us, man. They have mischief and they spite us. They hate us. Right? To require it with thy hand. See, the Lord is going to require it with his hand, which is Yahawashi. He's going to send Yahawashi back. The poor, right, which is the Israelites, so-called Black, Hispanic, and Indian, of Indian and Negro descent, which is dealing with the elect, committed himself unto thee, right? So we dedicated ourselves unto the Most High, the elect. Lord willing, I'm of that number. Lord willing, you brothers and sisters are of that number, right? And unto thee, thou art the helper of the fatherless, right? And see, and that's one of Esau's talking points, right? Where's the fathers in the house? Where's the fathers? You mean you're the generation? Matter of fact, I think that had just came up initially, just recently, how Esau brought up the fatherless homes, and kind of bragging, so to speak, and saying the conditions and this and that, and this is why you black people can't get yourself together. You can't pull yourself up by your bootstraps. But that's okay. The Lord said that he will become a father to the fatherless, right? He's coming to defend us. It says, break thou the arm of the wicked, right? That's their power, right? Their right-handed strength is Satan, right? And military weapons, right? And the Lord's about to cut off all the prayers that Satan's been answering for them, right? The gifts that Satan been doing, because, Satan is the prince of this world. He can give you gifts, right? He can give you a couple goodies, but eventually, because righteousness must prevail, and Satan works for the Most High, the Lord tells him to go retrieve it, take it back, right? And he is Satan. He's there to deceive you, to make you believe that he's completely on your side, but it's really to lead you to your own destruction. It says, break thou the hand of the wicked, and the evil man seek out his wickedness till thou find none, right? And you're going to uproot him, man, right? But this is that part where, the part where I was bringing up, because he romanticized it, right? He comes crouching, right? And humbling himself, right? Yeah, so this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 12, verse 10, says, never trust thy enemy, which Esau, Edom is your enemy, right? The self-proclaimed so-called white man is your enemy, man. Idawam, right? Edom, the red man, is your enemy. No matter how you slice and dice it, no matter how much you got a Stockholm syndrome. For like as iron rusteth, and iron is going to rust, no matter how much, because they have like this chemical you can put on it, and it can it kind of helps it from corroding as fast, but it's sure indeed for iron to rust, right? What is it? I believe, yes, the oxygen. If you look it up, I believe it's oxygen that causes iron to rust, and iron can't get away from oxygen, right? Right. Just as much as the Edomite can't get away from the sun, right? That's why they want to they want to blow up the sun. They want to do this. They want to do all these different things, but it's not going to happen, man. So is his wickedness, right? So eventually, no matter how good he is, or if he try to do good, right, it's gonna pop back out, right? Matter of fact, what's that one? Yeah, it's Ecclesiastes chapter 14. The point is 7, but I'll probably read down to 9. It says, but the point is in 7. It says, and if he doeth good, right? See, and that's the whole thing about Esau. If he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly. At the last, he will declare his wickedness. See, and that's that rust. That's that rust. His rust is going to be seen, right? It's always going to come back. His wickedness, he can smile, be what's that shit? Passive aggressive, and hold his tongue and try not to be racist. But we know that time is about to be over with, right? The two horns that was supposed to be representing the Democrat and the Republican as a lamb, right? Representing their purity, their righteousness, the Christianity is going to start speaking as a dragon, going into the draconian law, showing forth that he is Satan, that he is the devil that the Bible speaks of. He's going to declare his wickedness. The envious man have a wicked eye. He turneth away his face and despiseth men, right? But not just men, the Israelites, man. But all other, if they not Edomites, and if it don't fit their purpose, they really hate all men, right? That's the reason why they can, they'll go, bombs over Baghdad and the Gulf War and the Desert Storms and the Vietnam Wars and everything else and things that they're doing even now. They're over there in Nigeria. They're over there in the Congo. They're over in Haiti. All for the resources, right? Right? And they'll try to put a puppet prime minister or president or whatever in there to suit their needs, and then they'll tell them, "Hey, we'll pat you on the back and give you some treats, and you just need to be a good little monkey, right? And do what your masters say, and basically overthrow your people so you could get these crumbs, right? A covetous man's eye is not satisfied with his possessions, right? And they weren't happy with Mount Seir. Okay, well, hey, you came out, you were stealing things, you were doing all these different things. Everybody was mad at you, pushed you into the Caucasus Mountains. You weren't happy with the Caucasus Mountains. You came out the cave, started lying all over again, deceiving the world all over again. You're not happy with, you have America. You had the richest economy in the world at one point in time, but you're not happy with that. No, let's drain every dollar, let's drain everything, and let's micro C-hip the entire world, because it's not enough, right? And the iniquities, right? Your sin on top of sin of the wicked drieth up his soul, right? And it's gonna ultimately, it's gonna destroy you, bro. That's what it is, man. It's gonna ultimately destroy you, and it's gonna send forth Yahawashi to defend the elect, and it's gonna destroy you. Yeah, so it's back here, Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 11 says, though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and be aware, right? Because that wickedness is sure to show. It's going to come back. You have to be aware. Be aware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, right? And you know how when you wipe a look, you always keep looking at it, especially when you clean it real good. You be looking at it, looking for streaks, and you keep looking at it. Then you can see your reflection in it. And you keep looking at it, right? You come back and you look at it again. But that's what he's saying. He said, keep looking at this guy. Eventually, when you see it, the next time you see it, you're going to see his wickedness pop back up. It's going to be like rust, right? And thou shalt know that his rust have not altogether been wiped away, right? Wait, oh shit! Oh, there you go. And that's where we're at right now. Now we're starting to see this. Elon Musk's dad just spewing out this thing. Say, oh, what you want to do? Go back to the jungle? Yeah, that's their wickedness and their rust. Not all. When Trump first got in office, all of a sudden, all over the world. Remember, they were saying white dudes was going up to so-called black people, which are Israelites, right, from tribe of Judah, Benjamin, or Levi, right, or whatever prospective tribe they were from. And remember, they had the stabbing in, was it Oakland, right? So-called black girl. They at a train. Then you go all the way to the other side of the pond, like they say, and this the Edomites was picking on a so-called black man and his sister at the train station, because their whole thing was Trump was in office, right? Right? And then this whole thing, Trump got back in office, and they really did that. They really started getting into this whole thing and spewing out all sorts of racist remarks and go back to your home and speak English and all these other different things, stuff that they used to do back in the day, but it kind of simmered down. It was a crouching. It was humble. It was like a humbling of themselves. But that rust is come out now. They're at the end, right? It ain't all together been wiped away, right? They're speaking as a dragon, right? And that's collectively, though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed, right? I think I read. Oh, wipe the looking glass. Okay, I said that. The set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, right? That's what happened to Gad. Oh, come on in. Let's have a little powwow, smoke a little peyote. Oh, you wanna learn how to survive the winters? Oh, well, here you just got to do this, and here's a buffalo's hide, and this is what you do. You put this. Oh, okay. Now you talk. Okay, I'll be back. I'll be back. Went back, came back, brought more soldiers, brought more people, and just start killing them and enslaving them. Right? Now I know how to survive the harsh winters. Thank you. Right? Now it's Thanksgiving. Everybody talking about in a couple of days, right? Thank you. Right? That's what Thanksgiving must be for. Have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place, right? Yeah, he's the ruler of America, right? Get the gold, the silver, the copper, and everything out of this mug. He reamed this place, man, for real, right? That's why the Lord said, would there be any? If a robber by night came to, wouldn't he leave some gleaming grapes? You're not leaving anything. You're not leaving the like I said, no stone left unturned when it comes to this guy, because everything he wants it to be his possession. Everything he wants to basically defile it. It says, neither let him sit at the right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat, and thou at the last, Shalakia, remember my words and be pricked therewith. Yeah, and that's what happened to Gad. Now Gad's out on the reservation, just drinking to oblivion. He's not concerned with what's going on, but we got some choice Gadites that's waking up, right? That's why it's going to be 12,000 out of each tribe, because a lot of you Jakes ain't paying attention, right? But for the elect, the Lord said, take good heed. Psalm 73, verse 6. So therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain, violence cover them as a garment, man. See, and that's basically you. The earth is given to the hands of the wicked, right? He covered the face of the judges thereof. If not, where who is he, right? Because he covered the face of the judges of, and it says by violence. And then what did Isaac give you? He gave you the blessing. Your blessing is what? The sword, right? And how was you going to get this thing? He said you should get the fatness of the earth by the sword. By what? By violence. Sword is to what? A sword is a killing instrument, and that's what you took the world by. So their eyes stood out with fatness. They have more than hearts can wish. And just like that verse that we just read, it says that their possessions is not enough for them. See, and that's the same thing. Their eyes stood out with fatness. They got the entire world, but it's not enough. They want your soul. They want to take your ability to believe in Yahawah, BaHaSham, Rawchaa, and they want to put different cocktails within you, and so that you can't believe in Yahawah, BaHaSham, Rawchaa. Right? Even the Ishmaelites, they wanted to do that. Supposedly that was the testing subjects at one point in time, so that way it will make them docile. So they wouldn't have the ability to believe in, Allah or whatever, right? But their whole thing is they have more than hearts can wish, have everything, but they want more. It's never enough for this devil, man. Right? They are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression, right? And that's what he's doing. He's speaking wickedly, saying, see, we brought our culture to them, hey, that's what we're trying to do. You didn't have to come to Europe. Europe came to you. Well, look, guess what? Say you're this great, which we know civilization did not start with the Greeks, because you had the Babylonians, the Medo-Persian, and even before that, you had Egypt ruling. You had a bunch of empires way before you came along, but you want to say society started with you. That's your pride, right? But let's just say you're this great whatever you say you are, right? Which we know you're not, because what? Jake had already created all these things, already had books and math and did all these different things and was a great inventors and things like that. And even after that, even after you try to stop from reading and doing these things and beating us and telling us we wasn't nothing, we still created most of the thing, everything, pretty much damn near everything you see, everything that people use on an everyday basis came from Jake, right? That's why they're trying to re-scrub the internet and go, whoa, we can't credit it for one black guy that created it. We can't just create it because there were other people. Well, okay, whatever, regardless. You can't, you know what I'm saying? You're making it like Jake didn't have nothing to do with anything. So the jungles, the jungles, here we are, right? But even then, who asked you? Even if those people were poor and this and that and whatever, they had their own system. No one asked you to come from where you at on the other side of the world and come over there and throw your culture upon them. By the sword, by the way, right? You acting like you came over there nicely, but we brought them there and we fed them. Oh yeah? Well, they were being fed already on their own. No one said, hey, let's send some type of smoke signal. What's the thing? A pigeon thing, and let's send a signal to the white, because we don't know how to feed ourselves. They've been there for thousands of years. We didn't need you to feed them, right? We don't need your violence and your rhetoric and your oppression and your covetousness, man. Because now that's what we do. We oppress each other. You got gangbanging and drug dealing. We oppress each other, right? We're covetous about what this man has and what this man has. And that's stuff that we wasn't worried about that, right? Yeah, so this is Daniel chapter 2, verse 43. As you saw iron mix with common clay, and this time is speaking about people, because before it was speaking about the wealthy nations and the nations that have debt, right? Abayat, debt, right? And this will be more like speaking about the system, the Edomite system, right? Them trying to mix their doctrines, right? Christianity with the truth, right? And then trying to mix with the people also as well, right? Because they're trying to hide themselves, right? The Edomites are. So that's why they come in and call themselves, conquer a land, and now they're the South Africans They conquered the land. Now they're Australians, right? They conquered the land. Now they're they're Americans, right? They're Puerto Ricans, they're Mexicans, they're Cubans, Colombians, right? They mix in with the people, right? They're trying to mix in with the common people, right? Which is the clay, right? So they will combine with one another, right? In doctrine and understanding. You get this like what the guy was saying. You have to go to school and learn white supremacy, learn their history and their culture, and you have to assimilate into their culture and their ways to make them feel comfortable. But even when you do that, it's not enough. It's not enough that you're walking around with a suit and a tie on and your face shaved when the Lord says that you're supposed to keep your beard, right? They constantly wants to push their thing on you, even though they're in your land. Yeah, they conquered it, but why didn't you have to assimilate and change your ways until their culture, and not pretend that you're part of that culture in order for you to be a $5 Indian? So that way, here it is years later, you're able to get a check from the casino, right? After you were the ones who actually conquered this place, man. And the ones who actually are true Native Americans, you reclassify them as African American, reclassify them as Negro, reclassifies them as mulatto, right? Which that when you go look into when you go do you go get a job, and the application doesn't say mulatto no more. Like it was just a saying from back then, just so you could throw something in the air, like what this guy was saying, which goes back to mule, right? You just to be a slave, right? Yeah, so that's why they were raping the women, trying to breed them out, so to speak, right? Combine with one another in the seed, right? See, and that's what this guy was saying. Let's just mix all together, and and then there wouldn't be no such thing. But really, he's saying, hey, let my seed be the dominant one, and once my seed is the dominant one, then we could all get, because then it wouldn't matter anymore, right? Make you assimilate to everything that we are, and you have to push away everything that you are, everything you ever stood for. And you just need to forget about it. That happened a long time ago. Forget about the great robbery and murder. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about, the thieveries and the thefts. But then, hey, you better not steal a loaf of bread at the thing, or you better not be in a situation you get the loot and we get the shooting, but you stole entire continents. Not a continent, but continents, plural. But you don't want any retribution or any justice for the things you've done. Let's just ignore the things you've done, right? But you could be the judge and executioner of everyone else, But meanwhile, you're trying to mix your seed so you can hide yourself. So but the truth is coming out. You're the Edomites, seed with men, but they will not merge, right? See, you're never going to merge with us, man. And that's why I said that the main thing is trying to merge the pagan ideology with the scriptures, and that's what the things that you've been doing the most, right? And that's what it's going to say right here. For such diverse things or ideology, see, in your ideology, your Christianity, your plantation Christianity doesn't mingle or doesn't merge with the truth, and now the truth is flourishing through the earth, and everybody's starting to see that you're the devil. Can't unite. Hey, we can't unite with the devil, man. Right? Unlike Ren and Stimpy, right? Who now they could be saved. They could be in the chariot after all the things and atrocities that our forefathers getting their teeth knocked in, forcing them to eat. Right? They showed you that on that Birth of a Nation, right? Knocked in their teeth and forced them to eat. Right? Cuffed them and things, forced them so they would be able to commit suicide, right? Because death will be great. Death would be way greater than being bent over and graped in front of everybody, man. That is crazy. You just have to live with it. And now Now we have places like Atlanta, but now and San Francisco and every other place in between that's high in Sodom and Gomorrahism, right? But now the Edomite can get in the chariot with you. But the diverse things or ideologies, right? That Christianity, plantation Christianity, or their whole thing with that was so long ago, and there's no worry about it. Let's just mingle together. Let's just have this seed, which is all white supremacy, like the brother was saying, and they want to unite, but it can't unite, even as the iron does not mix with the clay. The rich is never going to be linked with the poor, right? The rich countries had to have a Brexit. They have to leave from, so that way they can sustain themselves when everything else collapses. Same thing with this, right? We can't let you be with us, right? Once this thing falls apart and the Lord comes and defends us, right? We got to be away from you people that the Lord is going to destroy. It says KJV says, whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, right? Mud, right? Going back to the Garden of Eden, right? Tell you that the Lord created us from the dust of the ground, right? Mud, a little bit of, right? Mud, clay. That's what we made of. Clay, mud, created us, right? From the water, right? Because the water used to come up from the ground, right? And all the Lord had to do is let the water come up from the ground, create the thing from the clay, from the dust, all right? Right? It says they shall mingle themselves with the seed, right? Seed, dealing with seed, the sperma, trying to mix with the people, right? Matter of fact, that makes me think about in Genesis when it talks about the seed, right? Because it talks about her seed coming against, or his seed coming against her seed. And one way you come against her seed is trying to mix with her seed, trying to put your wicked demonic spirit, right, amongst her seed, right? And maybe you could choke them out, right? Kind of like a what do you call it? Like a weed, like a yeah, because it tells you about how the righteous is more excellent than his neighbor. So you want to be around us, be in it, and just corrupt us and choke out the gospel. But see, the Lord set it up that you can't choke out the gospel, right? The true gospel, the true men of the Lord. You can't choke them out, right? You want to mingle themselves with the seed of men, right? Because we're the one who's really actually men, right? True men, right? Because really it should say sons of God, right? But of course, the Lord had to set it up a certain way so they didn't throw it out, right? But they shall not cleave, right, one to another, even as the iron is not mixed with the clay. See, the rich don't love the poor, and the poor hates the rich because the rich are greedy, man. It said their eyes poketh out. Their eyes are greedy and they want more than their possessions that they already have, and they already got more than hearts can wish. But they're not satisfied, right? As it tells you in Habakkuk, right? Right. So this is Job chapter 10, verse 9. Amplified version says, remember now that you have made me as clay, right? See, the Lord, we're the clay. We're like the common clay, right? But they want to mingle themselves, the seed, with us, right? With the sons of God, ultimately. And probably with the other people too, just so they can say they're this. That's why now all of a sudden these Edomites are Hawaiian, they're this, and all the people they conquered. Now they're these people, trying to hide the fact that they're the Edomites, hiding the fact that they're Esau, right? And their judgment is for them to be destroyed, right? It says, so will you turn me into the dust again? See, we came from ash to dust. We came from the dust. The Lord will return us back to the dust, right? Remember, I beseech thee, right? I beg of you, right? Beseech thee that thou hast made me as clay, and thou and will thus bring me unto dust again, right? See, the Lord created us from the dust, and we're gonna go back to the dust again, so to speak, But you may not if you're one of the ones that get called up into the chariot, because he said, I seen some of you that have not tasted death. So you may not taste that second death, which that's what the death that the Lord was talking about, right? He's talking about the second death, right? Some of you standing here that will not taste the death. He's talking about the second death, right? But yeah, this is Psalms 103 verse 14, NET says, for he knows what we are made of. He recognizes we are made of clay, right? You know, going back into that clay, showing who we are, you know. For he knoweth our frame, he remembereth that we are dust. Yeah, so this is Matthew chapter 13, verse 24. Another parable, but he went forth unto them. He put he forth unto them. Slakia. Twisting up my words. Saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which soweth good seed, right? Which are the Israelites, the clay, right? That common clay, what they would call common, right? But we're going to be greater than clay, right? Matter of fact, because you know, we're just esteemed. We're esteemed as the potter's clay. Matter of fact, because we're greater, showing who we are. Matter of fact, yeah. See, Lamentations chapter 4, verse 2 says the precious sons of Zion compareth to fine gold, or comparable to fine gold. See, dealing with the elect, we're comparable to fine gold, which that's what we're gonna return back to, being more precious than the fine gold of Ophir, right? Lord willing, we'll be part of that number. How are they esteemed as earthen pitchers, right? Which is made out of clay, right? Right? Dust, mud, clay, right? The work of the hands of the potter. See, showing that the elect is far more greater than that, man. We're worth our weight. Well, one of the virgins says we're worth their weight in gold, and that's what we're gonna be back to, right? So that's that good seed, you know, being precious gold, right? But while men slept, right, the time that we basically, well, it spoke about they think the Lord hide his face, which the Lord did, and the Lord allowed them to destroy us, put a yoke upon our neck until we were destroyed, till you didn't remember who you were. Now you're you got Stockholm syndrome. You're trying to assimilate and put yourself with this Edomite system, but it's never gonna mix. It's never gonna merge, right? But while men slept, an enemy, right, which is Esau, Edom, self-proclaimed so-called white man, came and sowed terrors among the wheat, right? Which that would be you as an Israelite. You're the wheat, right? Which is really representing the elect at this point, right? And went his way, right? Sneak up and put it in there, and then that way he can mingle himself amongst the people, or merge himself amongst the people with the seed, right? So now he could say I'm Mexican, I'm Puerto Rican, right? I'm Colombian, I'm this, I'm that, I'm Australian. Mix itself with all the different people. I'm South African, right? And he'll throw that back into your face. Well, I've been here. Well, I'm a South African too, or I'm a this and that. I'm an American, right? See, when you get to saying something, they'll try to flip it on you. Hey, we're all Americans. Won't we just mingle together? We'll just come together. We'll just have our thing. We'll just have one big old family, right? Trying to merge together. But that's what he's doing. Trying to sow a seed with sow the tares amongst the wheat, and went his way. But when the blade sprang up and brought forth fruit, there appeared the tares also, right? So the servants of the householder, right, which Yahawashi, right, the true servants, right, especially when you deal with, the true men of the Lord, right? And sometimes people got zeal too, zeal, but some people's zeal is not according to knowledge, and that's what the Lord is going to tell them. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, right, which is talking about Yahawashi, did not thou sow good seed in the field? From whence then have it tares? Right? When is this white man come? Well, the Israelites fell. They didn't do what they were supposed to be doing. And so the earth is given to the hands of the wicked. And now he's trying to mingle himself, hide himself amongst the people. He don't want to let people know that he's the Edomite. But there's one thing he ain't understanding. It's always going to be revealed. There's nothing done in the dark that will not be brought to the light. The Lord's eyes are 10 times brighter than the sun. It's all going to come out. You're always going to have to serve, and you're going to have to pay for your sins, right? The recompense is always going to be upon you. And he said unto them, an enemy have done this, right? Which is Esau, Edom. The servant said unto him, will thus then that we go and gather them up? But he said, nay, which means no. Lest while ye gather up the tares, right? You're trying to get the wicked from amongst Jake, even though the wicked, they seduce the righteous, man, to go about their ways and this and that, and they basically like a weed choking out the belief. Now Jake be a Gnostic, and they gang banging and drug dealing and into same-sex marriages and things like that, into a bunch of wickedness, right? And it says no, and it says, nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them, right? So I need my elect. I need those people to be there. So let both grow together. So why America's so-called, in its luster and being as the Garden of Eden, right, so to speak, right? It's going to be the Garden of Eden before it, but a desolate wilderness behind it, right? Right. Let both grow together until the harvest. And see, now we're at the end of the world, man. Things are being revealed. Now the harvest is ready to be taken in. And in the time of harvest, I will say reap, right? Which is to gather the elect. And gather ye first the tares, right? It's going to be a lot of destruction, weeping and gnashing of teeth, right? Because some people are similar, and they're so what do you call it? Brainwashed or lied to, deceived, so to speak, that they believe that they're some people that they're not, but they're tares, right? You're right. You've been told lies. What it says that they should go weeping of their fathers' atrocities, so to speak, because we have been told lies, right? Roughly paraphrasing. It says, and bind them in bundles to burn them, right? To make this place the lake of fire. America, make it the lake of fire, right? Which 2/3 of Israel, because they're all intertwined. They got this Stockholm syndrome and all this other stuff, and they're just so intertwined in their sin and their lust and even covetousness and everything that Esau does. They became partakers in it, joining hand in hand with the wicked, and the wicked will not go unpunished. That means you're not going to go unpunished either, right? Because you're wicked. That's just that. Burn them, but gather the wheat into the barn, which is the chariots, right? What they call UFOs. That's it. But yeah, and that's how they feel. They think they could just mingle their seed with the common people, with the people, and just hide themselves. But guess what? You're going to be able to hide yourself much longer, right? It says Isaiah chapter 51 verse 22. Thus saith the outer one, Yahawah BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham, QaDash, that plead the cause of his people to judgment, right? judgment to all these nations and judgment to 2/3 of his own people that come against the elect. Behold, which means feast your eyes, look, pay attention. I have taken out of thy hand the cup of trembling, right? Even the dregs of the cup of my fury, thou shalt no more drink it again, right? Because what? We're just the clay. You know what I'm saying? One of the cups talk about you're a pitcher, right? Pitcher being the miry clay, just a pitcher, right? We're just clay. But Esau, you're clay too. That's why it speaks of you being clay in Romans 9, right? One clay vessel for honor, the other clay vessel for dishonor. You were created for dishonor, right? And then we're created for honor, and we had to serve slavery. So that means you're going to have to serve slavery, right? The Lord said you're going to reap what you sowed. You sowed wickedness, great murder, death, killing, all sorts of atrocities all throughout the world. And you think that you can all together go unpunished? The Lord said, Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi forbid. You're gonna go punished. You are gonna get punished, right? So much so that the Lord said, give them double for all the things that you have done. You're gonna get double. You're gonna get 2 times worse than what we had. And that's us, thus saith the Lord. Thus saith the Holy Bible, you're going to get double. But I will put into the hands of them that afflicted thee. See, we went into slavery, so you're going to go into slavery. He's going to put that into your hands, and you're going to be the cup of trembling. You're going to be the vessel that's trembling, right? Which have said to thy soul, right? Said to the Israelites. You said to the Israelites, to the point that you wanted to take our soul. Right? It ain't good enough you took the land, and the cattle, the things, our women, right? Our sons, right? Because men ain't men anymore, right? Between your Catholic churches and your Boy Scouts and your what's the other one? They used to have the big brothers, right? When you have a mentor, you have a big brother. They were over there. They were over there. P-filing the children, man, right? For years and years and years. You can go back, especially with the Catholic Church, you can go all the way back to the beginning of when they so-called started developing America. And they were P-filing the little children. And of course, the one that goes back almost damn near just as far back is the Boy Scouts. And then, of course, like I said, the big brother thing. You know, when you're supposed to have a mentor, and the guy's supposed to come over and, hey, yeah, I'm a mentor to keep you out of trouble. And this dude technically was just a stranger. That's why you don't hear about the mentor thing anymore. You know what I mean? I remember my cousin had one, and I thought it was cool. I'm like, dang, I didn't get a mentor. All right. Come to find out, all sorts of atrocities are happening through the things that you all the things that you call God. Right? Good. Right? But and had us bow down, right? And that's us. You had us as slaves, and that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna bow down. You're gonna lick the dust of our feet. And it's not talking about licking the dust, right? They're not talking about licking the bottom of our shoe. What could get you to do that? But that's not talking about that. It's talking about you being a slave. Which, like I said, I get Pastor Hart saying that to these jakes, because most likely those are jakes, because Esau got too much pride to bend down and then lick the dust. But then again, hey, that might be poetic justice, because these jakes were probably wicked in their past lives, that it says that your face will wax pale, which means shame. And the shame is upon you so much that here you are looking like Esau, which in this life you should be having the benefits. Like, when you're ruling as an Edomite, but really you're not. This is supposed to be Esau's heaven, right? And then here it is, you end up licking a Jake's bottom of his shoe and stuff, and really you're Jake. Well, that might be poetic justice, who knows, I'm just speaking as a man, because Jake has done so much wickedness. Here you are, you look like an Edomite, man. Hey man, it's crazy, who knows, but having us bow down, be slaves. You having us be slave to you, Edomites, that we may go over. You're saying you want us to bow down, that you may go over. And thou has laid thy body as the ground, right? See, and that's what Jake has done, right? this you know, that self-hate syndrome, right? That you know, when they you know, when you end up making excuses for your slave master and all these other things, Stockholm syndrome, right? You know, lay thy body as the ground and as the street to them that walk over, right? See, and Edomite just walks over you over and over and over again. And somehow you, oh, we're not in slavery. Oh, nothing's going on. Oh, everything's fine. You know? Meanwhile, America's crumbling all around you. Meanwhile, he's blatantly telling you, you just come from the jungle and you should just accept what we tell you. Right? Lay your body as the ground. Just let me walk over. That was so long ago. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the ripple effects. Don't worry about that it affects you and your children, your children, on down the line. Right? Just as long as I can be, you know, your ruler. Which that's you about to go, everybody's about to face the test. Right? The digital all, which is the mark of the beast, the micro C hip, right? And we're gonna see if Esau's your daddy, right? Your God, right? Who do you serve? The Lord's going to ultimately draw that line real soon. So with all that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahawah, BaHaSham, Yahawashi, BaHaSham, Rawchaa, QaDash. I'd like to give double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well and do well. To the elder apostles, bishops in Connecticut, the bishops, the preachers, the teachers, the evangelists, and the four winds, preaching in truth and sincerity, risking your lives more now than ever, the hopeful elect, Shalom. To the Israelite foreigners who phenotype may look like another nation, but bloodline goes back to Israel through your father and have come back to the fold. Shalom. To your sisters, Yahawashi, who listen and learn under your husband, which is your spiritual leader, with meekness and with silence. And the Bible ball, Kwam Yasharallah.